Let's talk about heirlooms. So I've always liked like old stuff, pictures and all of that kind of stuff. I'm always looking for old pictures of my people, basically. You know what I'm saying? Or like there's places that you can go at home in Louisiana that some of those like the old slave quarters and slave houses and stuff like that on some of these plantations, they're still there. I think there's a spot in Thibodeau, if I'm not mistaken.
All right, y'all, YouTube video coming soon. There's a little clips where we at. Thibodeau, Louisiana. This is Lower Valley Plantations, guys. Look at these slave quarters that our people stayed in. Families. Can you imagine?
But it's like a whole stretch of where a plantation was, and on the road, on both sides of the road, is like a bunch of a row of slave quarters, right? And I think you can stop and look at them. I don't know if you can go in them, but there are some places that you can actually go in and look around. Just like here in Georgia with the MLK Center down the street from the center. There's the houses and stuff that they lived in or he lived in and his family, and you can uh uh um make an appointment to go inside, and they basically preserved everything the way it was, right? That kind of stuff is stuff that I like, right? I've always wanted to and I'm going somewhere. I'm gonna try to make it quick, but I'm going somewhere. So just follow me for a minute. That kind of stuff always excited me. I always been into that stuff. Like history, and not his story, but history. You know what I'm saying? My history, my family history. And that might be selfish, but that's who I am. That's what I want to know about. I don't care about the presidents. I don't care about the government back then. I don't care about none of that. I care about where my people come from, who my people were, and all of that kind of stuff. That's what I'm talking about. So that's what I mean about heirlooms and old school stuff and artifacts and different type of stuff like that. And even like when I go back to uh Donaldsonville and Napoleonville and all of that where my grandfather and them were raised, you know what I'm saying? I just look around, and my grandfather had some property across the street from a cane field, because obviously back in them days they used to do sugar cane. So anyway, you it's like you walk out there and you get this feeling like you've been there before. Well, we've been there before. Obviously, when we were kids, we would go out there every now and then. They would take us to the country, but it's like not like just like that feeling like you've been there before, but like I saw this video one time, and the guy said that energy never stops. In other words, life is energy. We're energy. Our spirits and all of that is energy, right? And it never stops. It just goes on and on and on. I haven't done a lot of research about that, so I'm not going to get too deep into it. But it's one of those feelings like I've been here before. You know what I'm saying? Even in some of those uh uh slave pictures and um plantations and all of that, it's like, bro, this is so familiar. You know what I'm saying? Like at home we got a lot of big old trees, and I've always been into them big old oak trees and pecan trees and different types of trees, but the big old oak trees where the branches sag and they curve all the way around. I mean, it's just something that I've always been interested in, or I've always had a connection to. But let me get back to the heirlooms and what I'm talking about. Because it all goes hand in hand, I believe. So that's my thing. I've always looked for old pictures of my people, like, and don't take this the wrong way, but I just gotta say it. I don't mean no harm towards nobody about it. But it's like white folk, they know they got pictures of grandfathers, great grandfathers, great greats, and where they came from in Ireland and England and all. They got all of these pictures and all of these artifacts and land and stuff that was passed down. Cause I used to watch this car channel. I ain't gonna call no names, but I used to watch the car channel, and they the dad anyway, it was the sons, the dad, and the grandfather. And I think the land was passed down before that. So they had a farm, right? And that's what I'm talking about. That's where I'm kind of going. So they had all of these like old cars that's been in the family since they bought them, since they were brand new, like from the 50s and 60s. I mean, from more so from the 50s. You know what I'm saying? But that's where I'm kind of going with this. And so what I'm my real point to all of it is that we don't have that. I'm not gonna say all black folks or all of us, because I don't want to make it a white and black thing. But when you think about it, we really didn't have cameras and stuff either like that. That's one point. But for us from New Orleans, we done been through so many hurricanes. We've lost a lot of stuff along the way anyway. Like it was when I think it was 65, so I had to be two. We had Hurricane Betsy. And my mother and them told me the story about how we had to be on the roof and all of that to somebody come save you and all of that. Then throughout the years, they had more hurricanes and all of that kind of stuff. And then Hurricane Katrina. And that wiped out everything. So I'm saying all of that to say it's kind of hard, or it was hard for us to keep anything like that. You know what I'm saying? On top of the fact that way back in them days, we didn't really have cameras and video cameras and all of that. And that's why, like I say, sometimes I look at these documentaries where they're talking to these older people that's way older than what we are now that may have been in slavery. You know what I'm saying? Or even they got documentation of people that were slaves. But anyway, that's what I'm saying. I wish I had more. Excuse me. But anyway, that's what I'm saying. I wish I had more of that type of stuff. You know, not to mention I moved around a lot. So whatever I had, I would have probably lost it anyway. But that was my own issue. That was my own stuff. I don't blame nobody else for that. But I'm just saying I wish I had more of that. I wish I knew more of that. I got on uh ancestry.com. It took me so far, but I had a one of the elders at the church. He was started to tell me a little bit more about it because he knows a lot about ancestry.com, and he's just really knowledgeable about a lot of stuff. So he was telling me that they even have what did he call it? What did he call it? It was was it slave manifest or slave what was it? I'll try to figure it out and put it in the video. But uh it was documents of the slaves, and they didn't have names and all of that, but they documented the way they documented it was a 12-year-old boy or a 13-year-old girl or something. They didn't have names and all of that. What did he call that thing? Anyway, I'm gonna find it and put it in here. But that's what, stuff like that. And like I said, for I don't know why I mentioned that, but he he was helping me with the ancestry. I guess that's why I mentioned that, because he was telling me that that's how far it goes back. You know what I'm saying? And if you do ancestry.com, you know that they basically can tell you not specifically where you come from, but there's like a pie, and each piece of the pie is where you might have a heritage from or something like that. Like I in my pie, I think some of it was Cameroon, some of it might have been Nigeria, some of it I can't remember off top, but I'll try to put a picture up. But anyway, that's not important. The whole thing I'm talking about in this video is that I wish I had, or I wish we had, uh more of that. My sister texted me last night, and she was asking me about a picture that I think was the only picture that we had of my grandfather, my dad's dad. And we all remember this picture because that's the picture. That's like the picture I've been looking for my whole life, ever since my daddy passed, right? And we knew where it was. It was at my grandmother's house, but then some other stuff happened that I'm not going to talk about. And so that's how the picture got gone, so to speak. And we don't have a lot of picture of our people like that. I don't, and I think that's why I take a lot of pictures and do videos and stuff like that, to say that hopefully one day some of this stuff will still be around with my great greats and great greats, or whoever might be interested. Because back to what my sister was asking me, I have a nephew, one of my twin nephews. They, my twin nephews are just like me and my brother were. One of them is really quiet and to himself and all that kind of stuff, and one of them is really outgoing. He play ball. He's a beast with football. I mean, he just that person like my brother was, right? But the one that's kind of introverted and to himself, he's interested in that, and it's crazy to see. It's not crazy, but it's a thing to see how bloodlines and family traits passed from one person to another. It's my nephew, but it's still in my family trait. That's what I'm saying. But to know where that comes from, or to know your people and know, okay, maybe that's why I act like this, because this person act. You know what I'm saying? And it's just cool to have and to see. You know what I mean? But like I say, I've been searching for it, and I can't really find a whole lot, because again, they didn't really. My mother made a comment one time before, because I think my sister asked her, because we all had baby pictures and younger pictures, right? But my sister, she said, "Well, where my baby picture? I never saw." And my mother made this comment that, well, we didn't have no cameras and all of that. We had to get whatever somebody else had or whatever. And that made me realize that that wasn't always around, or that wasn't always an option for us. And what I say about us, I mean not just my family, but black folk. That's what I mean. And again, this ain't no racial stuff. This is just what it is. You know what I'm saying? And so that's basically what I'm saying. I love that old stuff. I wish I had more of it. And the reason why I feel like we don't have more of it, as far as my family, I'm not talking about black folk now in general. I'm talking about my family with the storms, the Hurricane Betsy, Hurricane Katrina, um, me moving around a lot, and all of that different kind of stuff. I believe that that's why some of the things we don't have, but the rest of the stuff is because back in them days, we didn't have cameras like that, to take pictures, or even video cameras, you know what I'm saying? Or any of that. Because I can remember the cameras that we started having as I started getting older. But when we were young, I can remember watching these real to real tapes that you had to shine on the wall. And this when I was like a little kid. You had to shine the it was on the reel, and you put it on, and you had to shine the picture on the wall, and it was like cartoons or something like that. But so picture before that. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have no TVs. They didn't have none of that. Like I said again, the rich folk had all of that, but we didn't. And you know who the rich folks were. But anyway, so much for that. I just wish that, because again, I wish that we had more of that. Because again, for me, it was more so to know who my people were or to see pictures of my people. Now, I can go on Ancestry.com and see some of my people. And because the craziest part about that, not to name drop, because I'm not going to even call a name, but there's a big influencer on social media that I realized that I'm cousins with, because she got the last, we have the same last name. They spell it a little different, but my first cousin, they spelled theirs different too. Mine is Labaud. Theirs is Labeeaud. So, but it's the same name. And when she posted some stuff about some of her ancestors, and they were the same ones that I had. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy how that happens and how, you know what I'm saying? But again, it's a small world. We've always heard that, but it's a small world. You know what I'm saying? So, and naturally they're from New Orleans anyway, but I'm just saying that's how things happen. But I wish I was able to dig a little deeper. And I probably can if I put enough effort and all of that into it. But again, like I was saying about uh, uh, Ancestry.com, they only took me so far. You know what I'm saying? Like my mother's dad went to prison, and after he went to prison, she said they would go sometimes and see him, and it was for something real minor or crazy that he shouldn't have been in there. But that's neither here nor there. They would go see him sometimes, and then they just stopped going to see him, and then they just lost track of him. So it's like people like that I can't find. Like I can find on my daddy's side, I can find my grandfather's name, but no pictures. I can find his dad's name, but no pictures. And see, the thing about it is, back in them days, old folks kept stuff to themselves, stuff that probably should have been shared, because we don't know how to look for people, because we thinking this person was that person's daddy, or that person was that person's mama, and they wasn't. But they, because they always said, uh stay out of grown folk business, let sleeping dogs lie. um they didn't talk about the past, they didn't talk about none of that. But we know now what things used to go on, and people used to have situations where they had children, and then another person raised the child as they, like it was their own child, and everybody thought that was, it was a mess. You know what I'm saying? And that's not to down our people or put down on uh, uh, our ancestors, because they did what they had to do and what they thought was right and everything like that. But I'm just saying, it's just hard to find information, because they won't share them, or they didn't share them while we were here. I mean, while they were here. And like my mother says, she'll share everything she know, but it's a lot she don't know, because the people before her, whenever she tried to ask, they told her to shut up, quit asking these questions, quit. You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't answer the question, or they couldn't remember nothing. That was their excuse. But anyway, that's what the reason I'm making this video to say that I wish I had more information, and more so pictures or even videos. But even if not the videos, more so pictures, and even some artifacts of my ancestors. Some of them, you know what I'm saying? Because I know you can't have them all, or you can't keep everything, but it's just a thing for me. It's always been a thing for me. And let me just tell you this quick little story before I get off of here, because I'm talking about artifacts. My dad had a ring. Was it a ring or a medallion? He had both, but I can't remember which one I gave. I think it was the medallion I let this girl wear. Boy, you talking about pissed off because my dad was everything to me. After my dad passed, I had one. I had his ring and his medallion, and it wasn't just a regular gold medallion like everybody was on in New Orleans, but it had some type of coating on it. It was different. Anyway, I was so proud of that medallion, and I started talking to this girl, and I let that girl wear that medallion, and tell me why she lost that medallion. Boy, I wanted to. Oh Lord, I ain't never did nothing to nobody, but I wanted to do something. Anyway, all of that's my bad. Don't get me wrong. That ain't even her fault. That was my fault because I should never let her do that. But I'm just saying that's how we lose shit and all of that type of shit. That's another part. But anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I appreciate it. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about it, or let me know your feelings on artifacts and pictures and different type of stuff like that. And I'll see y'all in the next one. Y'all be easy. One love.